Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Noelle and I review and unbox subscription boxes here on my channel, and today I have a book box to share with you. Now this is not sent to me for review, even though I am on their VIP list, and so I do have the opportunity to occasionally ask the boxes be sent to me as they become available. I am a current subscriber. I have a 3-month subscription and I haven't done any skips based on the hints that they have posted lately. I have actually asked for a couple of limited edition boxes to be sent to me, but I haven't been selected recently, which is totally fine because I do think that this box is worth it. It keeps me reading. We get a lot of fun author interviews and little treats inside of each of these boxes. Now they do have a young adult subscription as well as an adult subscription. Both of those are $59.99. Those are going to include the title for the month as well as a bookmark, one of their commemorative stickers, sometimes a signed book plate, usually their guide that will have an interview with the author if possible, as well as some discussion questions and then some fun like little recipe or something else to add to the experience. But along with the book that they've selected for that month, and we've been getting a lot of contemporary fiction and thrillers, less on the romance side lately, which I appreciate because I'm not a big romance reader. We also get 3 to 4, sometimes even 5 gifts that go along with it. Sometimes the quality of those gifts is a little iffy. Sometimes the interpretation is a little bit of a stretch, and sometimes the fact that they stretch the interpretation is a good thing. So you'll see a little bit more about what I'm talking about as we get into this unboxing. But I do think it is a fun way of getting yourself back into reading. Now this is actually the August box, so I do actually read the books that I get in Once Upon a Book Club just because I think it kind of adds to my experience of the unboxing as I read along and get to the sticky notes and open up those corresponding gifts. I do have a code for you though. I know I took a long time to get to it, but you can use that for 10% off. All of that information is always in the description box below, by the way. So it's going to be Hi Noel 10. That'll again save you 10% on your Once Upon a Book Club subscriptions and purchases. Now the book that we had for the month of August, I was saying it was the August box, but I just finished it up at the beginning of October. I know you guys are seeing this a few days later after I filmed this, but it was perfect for the beginning of spooky season. I didn't get in on their limited edition Halloween boxes this time around. If they do have those available for VIPs, I might request it, but like I'm not super into the supernatural, even though this book had elements of that. It wasn't too much to the point where I felt like it was horror or a stretch or I had a hard time getting myself into it. But it was, you know, it was a thriller, it was a murder mystery, it was spooky, there were ghosties, I enjoyed it. The book was The Asylum Hotel by Juliet Blackwell. And then here is the corresponding sort of guide. So you can see that the box actually has a different name. It's more like a hint. It was called Ghost in the Attic. I do think the title of the book is a little bit of a misnomer because it wasn't really an asylum so much as a poorhouse and then a hotel, and now it's abandoned. But here is what I was talking about in terms of those items. We have this nice long interview with the author. They ask her not just about this book, but just about her writing in general, which I think is really interesting. There's our discussion questions. They do have an online Facebook group where you can be in there as well. And as some of you know, we do have a book club associated with this channel that is run by the amazing Priscilla, and we are just about to get started on our Q4 book. We actually did 5 books this year, but one wasn't like official. And of course we will probably be doing it again for the 3rd year, I think, maybe 4th year. Oh my gosh, crazy. Next year, if you would like to join us, and we usually do titles that are featured in one of the book boxes that I open here on the channel. So just to keep that in mind, we also have the Nobody Awards, which is the awards that we do here on this channel just around the corner. So always good to look back at my playlists. I've got them for, you know, Hugo inspired boxes and book boxes and beauty boxes. And if you want to just like kind of look at one category and see what we've got here on the channel, especially in the last 6 to 8 months or this year, this calendar year, that is a good place to see the kinds of boxes that we have here. So I'm going to put this off to the side. We did get a nice signed book plate. I will say it's kind of not that I would not want the signed book plate, but when we're getting a paperback, it feels like a little less fancy. I like to put my book plates into like nice hardcovers. I don't mind a paperback by any means, but it's this you know, there we go. This is what the collectible stickers look like. They're little hexagons. There's all kinds of merch that you can get in the Once Upon a Book Club store to collect and save the titles. If you don't have like a reading journal, that's a kind of a fun way to look back on the reads that you've gotten. And then of course we do have our bookmark, which says this on one side, and then it has a quote on the other side from the book. It says, it matches the 5x7 quote card. I guess I could read this one, it's a little bit bigger. Only our own regrets and fears and memories haunt us. And then, in addition to the interview with the author, Juliet Blackwell, we also have this little note from her. So sometimes I have time to read that if we get through the book passages and the gifts fast enough, and sometimes I don't, so just know that. I know some of you are just like, I don't want to watch you read anyway, so there you go. And for any of you where my video style, by the way, is not your style, feel free, you can skip ahead, you can not watch this video, you can not subscribe to my channel, but if you enjoy it, I get a little chatty sometimes, please, by all means, please do like and subscribe and join our happy little community, which is, we just passed in September my 6-year anniversary of having this channel, so it's going good so far. All right, so let me read the blurb to you. We do have this Once Upon a Book Club sticker there on the cover. When a mysterious figure shows up in the photograph an architect takes of the derelict Hotel Sebring, ghostly encounters and murder are unleashed. Man, when I see something like Untethered or Unleashed or Unlock, it just makes me think of like the copy that I write for tech companies. Unleashed. It's much more exciting when it's for a ghost. Aubrey Spencer loves photographing classic old buildings and abandoned places that hold secrets. The Hotel Sebring, perched overlooking the sea, is one such place. Currently empty but scheduled for a major renovation, it has a torrid history. Back in the 1920s, it hosted A-list celebrity clientele, and now the locals insist it is haunted by the ghosts of 2 young women who died there. When Aubrey goes to photograph the site before the renovation begins, she bumps into a man named Dmitry Petrov, a minor online celebrity who shares her fascination with old buildings, the Hotel Sebring in particular. When he is found dead the next day at the base of a cliff, the police are quick to close the investigation, but Aubrey feels unsettled by locals who claim he was murdered, and that it's not the first time someone interested in the hotel was killed. As she digs deeper into the property's dark history and its origins as an asylum, poorhouse, as well as Dimitri's professional rivalries, she becomes mired in an unsolved murder case from several decades earlier, one with eerie parallels to the contemporary case. But someone is determined to keep her from discovering the truth at any cost. So it was a poorhouse, although I'm sure that Poorhouse Hotel didn't have the same ring to it, but poorhouse is basically, it says in the interview, it says, there were few social safety nets in the 1800s, and counties were responsible for supporting their poor and infirm citizens. Poor farms was one solution to keep taxes down by bringing those in need under one roof, where they were fed and housed, often in exchange for what was thought of as honest work on a farm. Some were decent enough places and preferable to living on the streets, but others, populated as they were with vulnerable women, the mentally ill, the elderly, and the generally unwanted, were rife with abuse. So there was a lot of, yes, like mentally ill people, probably a lot of undiagnosed mentally ill people, but just generally like poor and old people that didn't have anywhere else to go, or sort of women who had been shunned by society. So asylum isn't quite what it was, but again, understandable for the editors and the book agents to be like, let's call it Asylum Hotel, not Poorhouse Hotel. All right, so in this particular book, we did get 3 gifts, and I will show them to you. Usually we get a nice big sticky note that tells us to open up a gift. Usually there's like a little extra in there. This time around, we were back to what I used to call the paper gifts, which didn't necessarily add much to the experience, especially in this case. We'll talk about that in a second. But we did get 3 gifts. You are going to be surprised if you've watched my unboxings of this box before, which of the gifts is my favorite this time around. I don't think any of the passages this time around have major spoilers. So if you have this in your TBR pile, or you're looking to get the box, or you just don't like to have spoilers, I don't think that's a problem this time around. So the first page, so we've got that, and I do think this is pretty good cover art, by the way, for that. Let's see. Yeah, pretty good cover art, although I imagined it more like on a cliff than just like right there with a lawn. I think that was just like, they just overlaid two images. So for page 82, we got this. Kind of has that like, not necessarily deco, but vintage vibe there. So let's see. Aubrey turned to the only other piece of furniture in the room, the desk. It's kind of funny because I didn't actually read that blurb and I didn't remember the hint that they sent out to us via email. So when I was reading it, I forgot that Dimitri like dies right away. So I was like really surprised that he died so early on. So this is in the aftermath of that. Aubrey turned to the only other piece of furniture in the room, the desk. She took a seat in the chair and pulled the drawer open. There, tucked beneath a handful of tourist brochures and takeout menus from local restaurants, was a canvas bag. Inside was a bound journal labeled Seabrink. Detailed notes about the building and its history were scrawled in a cramped, messy handwriting, presumably Dimitri's. She flipped through it briefly and then set it aside to read later. She reached back into the bag and retrieved a thumb drive, presumably also Dimitri's, and set that on the desk alongside the journal. Next, she found two notes composed of words torn from a magazine and glued onto plain white pieces of paper. They read, "Answer me," and "You can't ignore me." So it's that classic like serial killer letters cut out of a magazine, and they actually printed that into the text in the book. So just keep that in mind. So here we have our gift, and this was kind of a two-part gift, which I do also appreciate. So we got Dimitri's canvas bag. Now, I imagined it more like a messenger bag. I'm not sure why they put this quote on it, but it's just like a simple bag. I almost wish that it was like lined so it could be more of a useful makeup bag. And again, the notebook was supposed to fit inside of it. So I think he had more of a messenger bag. If you spend your whole life waiting for the storm, you'll never enjoy the sunshine, by Morris West. So inside we do have his journal. Now, I thought of it more like a Moleskine or like an old, a plain journal, but they actually printed Hotel Seabrink it has 60 pages on the front, but it almost makes it look more like hotel stationery, like something that you would get from the hotel versus like his just notes and journals. But I do like these kinds of pages that have all of that space for you to note like the weather and the date and the time and all of that kind of stuff. So kind of yellowy pages. I thought that was cool too, but I could imagine someone who researches old buildings having like one of these kinds of books that he could just like tuck in his back pocket with lots of scribbled notes. So I did think that was kind of a cool, like I said, two-part gift. And then we got a paper gift, which of course has the two notes, but they did just put it onto one page. "Answer me, you can't ignore me." So color Xerox, which is fun, although again they put it as one note, and to me that's just like an added expense that because the book itself actually had those cutout letters looking. So yes, it adds to the experience. Do I think that maybe that money could have been allocated towards a fourth gift or something? I don't know, but like on one hand I appreciate it, on the other hand I still think those paper gifts are kind of silly, especially when they don't like add to the experience. Like it's not like a paper gift that I'm going to use, it's just something that I now need to recycle. All right, so and that said, on page 96, which was like our sort of extra insert, it happens again where they give us the note in the book and then we get the note as a little slip of paper. So okay, you know, like if we didn't get bookmarks already with the book box, sure, that would be kind of a fun bookmark to use for the rest of the time, but anyway. Then the next one was on page 113. Sometimes it does come at the bottom of the page and you get a smaller sticky note. So Aubrey's friend Nikki shows up. Nikki Politis was athletic, snarky, and a fan of true crime and truth-telling tarot cards. A full-figured, curvy woman, she wore her long black hair in a messy knot on the top of her head, was dressed in black leggings and an oversized sweater, and clutched a travel mug in one hand and an overnight bag in the other. They shared a long hug. Nikki stood back, holding Aubrey at arm's distance. "Are you okay? You look as if you've seen a ghost." "As a matter of fact, I just saw something really odd." "Where?" Nikki glanced around the room. "Not in here," said Aubrey. "I was reviewing the photos I took up at the Hotel Seabrink, and I saw something." So great description of Nikki, I thought. I could totally envision her in my mind. So this is the gift we got. we have this like column so that we have the, because there were columns and statues around the Hotel Sebring. I just don't think that a fancy hotel that was for Hollywood starlets, yes, starlets, would necessarily have gone right into a poorhouse from the 1800s. Like, that would have already been kind of weird. So we have, oh goodness, you guys, now we have an insulated travel mug, hand wash only. These kinds of little cards I don't necessarily need, but again, little details and little touches from Once Upon a Book Club. I have said it before, if I get any more drinkware in terms of mugs and cups and these kinds of things, more so like water bottles, especially like plastic ones, I just don't want them anymore. Like, it doesn't matter. I do like these metal insulated ones. This wound up being my favorite gift, even though it's yet another insulated mug, but I love what it says. It says, I like true crime, and it's got like fingerprints in the letters, and maybe 3 people. I think it's just like, it's snarky. It's supposed to be very much like Nikki, but it's also very much me. I do love true crime, mostly podcasts, well, but some books. I like that it's black. I love that it's like an insulated mug. I mean, this is the one that I have like with me all the time, but it says I'd rather be in Maui. That I got from like a box a long time ago. But this one is super cute and totally me. I could see how if you're not into true crime, and it's kind of funny that this is like about a murder mystery fictional book, but it goes along with her, and it's not like super Once Upon a Book Club, super book specific. This could just be like something that you got in a novelty shop anywhere. I probably wouldn't buy it, but I don't mind using it. I thought it was pretty cute. If you're not into true crime, you're probably like, what do I do with this? But in terms of the quality, seems pretty good, and in terms of the like not seeming too much like something they had printed up for the book box, I appreciated it. All right, we had one more gift in this book that again went pretty quick. I did think that, you know, it just had those evocative Halloween-y kind of vibes to it. It's also like takes place up in like Northern California, so I kind of like knew the setting, kind of understood the vibes of it, even though I live in Southern California, which is completely different. There was like a section though where, you know, when the connections start to get made, where it was a little expository in terms of like, I think it was Nikki was just like, wait, let me get this straight, or run that by me one more time, because like the familial ties were a little bit hard to follow, like how so-and-so was linked to so-and-so and what generation it happened in and what, like, you know, famous person. It was just like, it was just kind of funny because she was like, wait, give me that again. I kind of missed it. And so it gave the author the excuse to like explain it all in a paragraph and like lay it out for you. I needed it. I absolutely needed it. But I also just thought it was kind of like, oh, just in case we understand it was confusing. So I'm just going to like take this paragraph to clear it all up for you. That doesn't mean it was a bad book. It just was like that moment where I was like, oh, we all needed a little refresher. All right, so for page 243, we have this one. It looks like film strips because, again, she's a photographer. And, of course, we also have to find out along the way why Aubrey's not an architect anymore, and she's taking time to pursue her love of photography, and that does come out eventually. Let's see. Aubrey awoke with a start. With a sense of dread, she glanced at the glowing red numbers on the bedside alarm clock, 4:07, which comes up over and over again. She turned to check on her friend, just in case, because we were worried there for a second that Nikki was cursed and she might be on the chopping block from either the person sending those cut-up letter notes or the ghosts of the Hotel Sebring. So inside, we got, you probably are not surprised, an alarm clock. It's a little tricky to get out of here. So it does have a little, you know, charger, like, so you can, it looks like you can actually use this instead of batteries to plug it in. So it's got that, and then it's got the USB, or you can actually put batteries in, but of course it didn't come with batteries. Now this is gonna look not this, so they just put a sticker on it so it shows you that it's got one of those mirrored faces, and then it did come with some instructions. So it's just like a simple little modern-y one. At one point in the story, like, the clock is broken because it's stuck on that ominous time that keeps syncing up with other things. It's cool. It's got like a film on it right now, so it protected the mirror. finish. It's, you know, who uses a clock? I think they even say that in the book at one point. It's like, I just use my phone. Like, who uses a clock? But hotels use clocks, right? And they're always set at the wrong time, and somebody's always put the alarm at some ungodly hour that wakes you up in the middle of the night or in the morning when you just wanted to sleep in because you're on vacation. Anyway, yes, so it's like, it feels a little janky, not like the most amazing quality, like not the gift that I'm the most excited about, but it is fairly sleek. But overall, not a bad box, pretty good book, perfect for the season. I don't know that I'll use the canvas bag or the clock, but I thought the notebook was kind of nice, and I do think the mug was kind of cute. So it's no time, you guys, to read that Dear Reader's note, but it was cool. It just talks about how she was inspired by the area around her. But this gives you a good sense of what Once Upon a Book Club boxes are like. And let's actually see about a secret password. Let's have it be coast, because this kind of happens along the coast where there's those rocky waters and people fall off cliffs and stuff. So when you come across a secret password in one of my videos, you want to enter it along with your contact information in the Google form that's linked for you in the description box below. You have to be 18 years or older. You have to have a US or Canadian mailing address, and you do have to be subscribed to my channel. It is in no way associated with any of the boxes that I open here on the channel or YouTube. All of the directions are actually in that form, and today's secret password once again is coast, and hopefully you get entered to win a mystery box or gift card from me. I'll see you soon.